Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to this powerful video. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to move through life as if success follows them everywhere, while others keep running in circles, never breaking free? It's not luck. It's not magic. It's not even about working harder than everyone else. The truth is, the biggest difference between winning and losing lives in the mind. The people who rise, who create the life they dream of, have trained their brain to think, act, and respond in ways that lead them directly toward success, no matter what's standing in their way. Right now, your mind is shaping your future, whether you're aware of it or not. Every belief you hold, every thought you repeat, every decision you make is either pulling you closer to your goals or quietly pushing them further away. The good news? You have the power to take control. You can reprogram the way you think, the way you see the world, and the way you respond to challenges. You can literally train your brain to guide you toward the life you want. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact steps, mind shifts, and habits that can transform the way your brain works, turning it into your greatest weapon for success. And by the end of this, you won't just understand what a successful mindset looks like. You'll feel it in your bones, you'll carry it in your actions, and you'll start living it every single day. Point 1. Rewire your mind for greatness. Greatness is never an accident. It's not the result of being born under the right star, having endless resources, or waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. It begins in one place: your mind. The reality you experience every single day is a direct reflection of your dominant thoughts. The stories you tell yourself shape your beliefs. Your beliefs dictate your actions, and over time, those actions carve the path to your destiny. If the voice inside your head whispers doubt, fear, or smallness, your life will be built on those same foundations. But if you deliberately train your mind to expect growth, to see possibilities where others see dead ends, then every challenge becomes a stepping stone, and every setback becomes a lesson. Rewiring your mind for greatness is not a single event. It's a process. It begins with awareness. You must catch yourself in the act of negative thinking. Pause, and consciously redirect your focus. When your mind says, "I can't," replace it with, "I will." When it leans toward fear, guide it toward action. When it searches for excuses, feed it with reasons to persist. Surround yourself with people, environments, and ideas that nourish ambition rather than drain it. This is how you begin reshaping the mental blueprint that drives your life. The truth is, your mind is like a muscle. The more you challenge it with empowering thoughts, the stronger it becomes. And just like physical training, mental conditioning requires consistency. You won't see dramatic change in a day, but every day you choose a thought that empowers you over one that limits you. You're rewiring your future. A mind aligned with greatness doesn't need luck. It creates its own opportunities, turns obstacles into momentum, and transforms your entire reality from the inside out. Point 2. Replace limiting beliefs. Your beliefs are the invisible architects of your life. They determine what you attempt, how much effort you give, and how long you persist when things get tough. But here's the danger. Many of these beliefs aren't even yours. They're hand-me-down thoughts from parents, teachers, friends, society, or moments when you failed and decided, maybe I'm just not good enough. These limiting beliefs sit quietly in the background, shaping your decisions without you even realizing it. They make you underestimate your potential, shrink from opportunities, and settle for less than you're capable of. And until you challenge them, they will silently keep you stuck. Replacing limiting beliefs starts with confronting them head-on. This means listening carefully to the stories you tell yourself. Do you hear, "I can't do this," "I'm not ready," or "It's too late for me"? Those aren't facts. They're mental habits. Once you identify them, you need to ask a powerful question. Is this belief helping me grow, or is it holding me back? If it's the latter, it must go. You don't destroy a limiting belief by ignoring it. You overwrite it by creating a stronger, more empowering one. This is where deliberate self-talk becomes a tool, not just a cliché. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning how." Replace "I'm not ready" with "I will prepare until I am unstoppable." Replace "It's too late" with "The best time to start was yesterday. The second best is today." But this isn't just about positive thinking. It's about collecting evidence that your new belief is real. You prove to yourself, step by step, that you can do what you once thought impossible. Every small win, every challenge faced, every time you act despite fear, becomes proof that your new belief is true. And over time, that truth becomes your default mindset. When you replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, you change the boundaries of your life. Opportunities that once felt out of reach now feel possible. Challenges that used to scare you now excite you. The world doesn't shrink or expand based on what's out there. It changes depending on the size of your beliefs. And the moment you decide to upgrade those beliefs, you open the door to a life that matches your true potential, not your old fears. Point 3. Build a success-driven identity. Everything you do, every choice you make, every habit you build, every standard you set, flows from one core source: your identity. Not the identity that's written on a piece of paper, but the identity you carry inside your mind. The way you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who's unlucky, you'll unknowingly sabotage opportunities. If you see yourself as someone who's not disciplined, you'll struggle to follow through no matter how many productivity hacks you try. Your actions will always fight to stay consistent with the story you believe about who you are. That's why the fastest way to create lasting change is to change the story. Building a success-driven identity means deciding deep down that success is not something you occasionally reach for. It's something that is part of who you are. You don't just do disciplined things. You are a disciplined person. You don't just try to be confident. You are confident because you've made that part of your identity. This shift is powerful because when a belief becomes part of who you are, your brain stops negotiating with it. A runner doesn't wake up asking, "Should I run today?" They run because they see themselves as a runner. That's the level you want your success habits to reach. The transformation begins with language. The way you talk to yourself must reflect the person you want to become. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to be more consistent," say, "I'm a person who follows through." Instead of, "I hope I can succeed," say, "I'm the kind of person who creates success through my actions." This might feel strange at first because you're declaring something that hasn't fully shown up in your life yet. But your brain will work tirelessly to close the gap between your self-image and your actions. And if you feed it a stronger identity, it will demand you live up to it. But words aren't enough. Identity is built through evidence. Every action you take in alignment with your desired identity reinforces it. Every time you show up early, every time you stay disciplined when it's hard, every time you face a fear instead of hiding, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. It's not about being perfect. It's about voting for the new you so consistently that the old version no longer feels natural. The real magic happens when success-driven identity becomes your default. You no longer need to hype yourself up for every challenge. You face it because that's just who you are now. Failure doesn't break you because your identity is not tied to one result. It's tied to a standard of persistence, resilience, and growth. And when you see yourself as someone who simply doesn't quit, life stops being a series of tries and becomes a steady journey toward inevitable wins. Your actions may create results, but your identity decides your destiny. The moment you choose to see yourself as a builder, a doer, a leader, a creator, not just in what you do, but in who you are, you'll find yourself achieving things that once felt impossible, because you'll no longer be chasing success from the outside. You'll be living it from within. Point 4. Focus like a laser. In a world that's constantly screaming for your attention, focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable superpowers you can possess. Think about it. Everywhere you turn, there's something pulling at your mind. Notifications, messages, endless scrolling, news updates, random distractions. If you allow yourself to be scattered, your energy will always be spread so thin that nothing truly important will ever get the best of you. But when you learn to channel all that mental energy into a single direction, like a laser, you become unstoppable. Laser focus is not about doing more things faster. It's about cutting through the noise, eliminating the irrelevant, and pouring all your attention into what truly moves the needle. Most people fail not because they're lazy, but because they're busy with things that don't actually matter. They confuse motion with progress, activity with achievement. A laser-focused mind understands that 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions, and it has the discipline to commit to those actions relentlessly. But here's the truth. Focus isn't something you magically find. It's something you create by intentionally shaping your environment and your habits. If your phone is lighting up every 30 seconds, if your workspace is a mess, if you allow every minor distraction to interrupt you, you've already handed your power away. Successful people guard their attention like a priceless resource because they know it is one. They set boundaries, say no to low-value requests, and design their lives so that the path of least resistance leads to productivity. The secret to laser focus lies in clarity. You must know exactly what you're aiming for. If your goals are vague, your focus will be too. When you have a crystal clear target, a project you're committed to finishing, a skill you're determined to master, a vision you're hungry to bring to life, distractions lose their power. They become background noise instead of detours. That's why the first step to mastering focus is defining the one thing that matters most in this season of your life, and making it non-negotiable. And here's where most people go wrong. They try to juggle too many number one priorities. But there can only be one number one. The laser doesn't split into 1,000 little beams. It burns through with one sharp point of light. Imagine what would happen if, for the next 6 months, you poured all your time, energy, and effort into just one meaningful goal. Imagine how much deeper you'd go, how much faster you'd grow, and how much stronger your results would be. Discipline is the guardrail of focus. There will be days when your motivation feels weak, when the temptation to check out just for a minute feels overwhelming. But in those moments, you have to remind yourself that every distraction comes with a hidden cost. It steals momentum, it forces you to restart, and it keeps you average. And you're not here to be average. You're here to stand out, to build something real, to make an impact. When you focus like a laser, life changes. Your work deepens. Your progress accelerates. Opportunities start to find you, not because you're chasing everything, but because you've mastered the one thing that multiplies everything else. The ability to give your best energy to your best priorities every single day. Point 5. Master emotional control. The truth is, you can have the perfect plan, the best resources, and endless potential. But if your emotions run the show, all of it can crumble in seconds. A single burst of anger can make you sabotage relationships you've spent years building. A moment of fear can make you walk away from the opportunity that could have changed your life. Even excitement, if not managed, can make you leap before you look and cause unnecessary setbacks. This is why emotional control isn't just a nice skill. It's the foundation of mental victory. Without it, your mind is like a race car with no brakes. Fast, powerful, but dangerously unstable. Emotional control does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending you're unaffected by life. That's not strength. That's denial. Real strength is when you can recognize your emotions in real time, understand why you're feeling them, and then choose how to respond. Anger, when controlled, becomes focused determination. Fear, when managed, becomes preparation and awareness. Even sadness can give you deep perspective and empathy, qualities that can make you a leader worth following. The difference lies in whether you let these emotions drive you off course, or whether you steer them towards your goals. Think about the greatest champions in any field. Elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, world-class leaders. They aren't emotionless robots. They feel frustration, doubt, and excitement just like you do. The difference is in their response. When others panic, they pause. When others complain, they calculate. When others react impulsively, they respond with precision. This ability to remain steady under pressure doesn't happen by chance. It's trained, practiced, and earned. And the training doesn't happen in dramatic moments. It happens in the quiet, everyday situations that seem small but shape your mental habits. It's in the extra breath you take before replying to an email that made you angry. It's in the choice to walk away and think before engaging in an argument. It's in deciding to keep working on your plan instead of getting swept away by temporary emotions. Each of these small victories is like a push-up for your mind. Every repetition builds strength, control, and discipline. Over time, these controlled moments accumulate, and they change you. You stop being at the mercy of moods and impulses. You stop letting frustration derail your focus. You stop chasing every emotional high and low. Instead, you become steady, grounded, and intentional. And here's the beautiful part. The more control you have over your emotions, the more control you have over your performance. And when your performance is consistent and focused, winning stops being something you hope for. It becomes something you create again and again. This is the mental edge. This is how you train your brain to win. Not just once, but for life. Point 6. Rewire your thinking daily to turn winning into your default setting. Your brain is the control center of your entire life. Every action, decision, and habit is born from the thoughts you allow to take root. And here's the truth. Your brain doesn't care if those thoughts are helping you or destroying you. It will build neural pathways around whatever you repeat the most. If you keep feeding it fear, doubt, and excuses, it will make those your go-to responses for every challenge you face. But if you consistently fill it with clarity, confidence, and determination, it will automatically push you toward progress, even when the road gets tough. The key is to understand that your mind works on a use it or lose it principle. Just like a muscle, it gets stronger in the areas you exercise and weaker in the areas you neglect. If you only focus on problems, your brain becomes an expert in spotting obstacles. But if you train it to focus on possibilities, you'll start seeing opportunities that others completely miss. This isn't luck. It's mental conditioning, and it's available to anyone who's willing to put in the work every single day. And make no mistake, this is not about shallow, fake, positive thinking where you pretend everything's perfect. It's about deliberate programming. Winners don't sit around waiting to feel motivated. They train their minds whether they feel like it or not. They treat mental strength like a non-negotiable workout. They begin their mornings by setting crystal clear intentions, visualizing exactly what they're building, and reminding themselves why they refuse to settle. They guard their thoughts like a priceless treasure, quickly catching and replacing any belief that drags them down. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think one burst of inspiration can change their mindset forever. It can't. True transformation comes from repetition, doing the work over and over until the wiring in your brain literally changes. Every time you challenge a negative thought, you weaken it. Every time you speak a powerful belief out loud, you strengthen it. Every time you choose persistence over quitting, you're carving a mental path that makes success feel more natural tomorrow than it does today. Look back at your life right now. Your current mindset didn't appear overnight. It's the product of years of mental conditioning, some of it intentional, most of it completely accidental. If you want different results, you must take control of that process. You must feed your mind with the beliefs, perspectives, and habits of the person you want to become until they become second nature. Do it long enough, and you won't have to try to think like a winner. It will simply be who you are. And when that happens, you stop chasing success. You start attracting it, because you've built a mind that can't help but create it. Point 7. Turn every challenge into a personal training ground for your brain. Most people look at challenges and immediately see roadblocks, red lights, or detours, signs that they should slow down, step back, or even give up. But people who consistently win in life, those who've trained their minds to achieve extraordinary things, see something entirely different. They understand that every difficulty is not a punishment but a tool, a weight added to the bar in life's mental gym. Just like muscles don't grow without resistance, your brain doesn't grow without being stretched, tested, and sometimes even bent to its limits. Think about it. Every time you're in a tough situation, you're standing in front of a choice. You can either shrink from it or step into it and use it. The real shift happens when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That simple reframe is like flipping a switch in your brain. Suddenly, you're not drowning in frustration or fear. You're studying the situation, analyzing it, and extracting lessons the way a champion athlete watches a replay to find out how to win the next game. When you start seeing every obstacle as feedback, every failure as raw data, and every setback as a skill-building session, you stop fearing them. You begin to welcome them. Because you know each challenge you overcome is secretly upgrading you, giving you more endurance, more adaptability, and more confidence in your ability to face whatever's next. Comfort never forged greatness. Only resistance does. And resistance, while uncomfortable, is the exact pressure that turns potential into power. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Life will never stop testing you. The moment you solve one problem, another will appear. But when you've trained your brain to treat each test as practice, as a drill to strengthen your mental stamina, you become unshakable. You stop wishing for an easier life and start building yourself into a stronger person. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming will feel routine, and situations that now feel routine will soon feel effortless. That's how you build a mind that wins. Not by avoiding the battles, but by treating every single one as essential training for the war you were born to win. Point 8. Feed your mind with the right inputs. Everything you allow into your mind becomes part of the invisible framework that shapes your reality. Every word you hear, every idea you entertain, every image you watch, and every conversation you engage in is not just passing through. It's leaving an imprint. Your brain doesn't treat these inputs as disposable. It collects, organizes, and weaves them into the way you think, the decisions you make, and the way you see yourself in the world. Over time, this collection of inputs becomes the mental architecture that either builds your success or traps you in mediocrity. The truth is, the mind is never neutral. It is constantly processing, absorbing, and adapting to the stimuli you expose it to. If the majority of your mental diet is fear, gossip, complaints, and small thinking, your brain will quietly normalize those patterns until they feel like your default state. You'll hesitate when you should act, doubt when you should believe, and shrink when you should rise. On the other hand, if you feed your mind with ideas that challenge you, stories that inspire you, and lessons that expand your perspective, your brain begins to wire itself for growth, resilience, and achievement. What makes this so dangerous is that most people underestimate the silent power of influence. They believe they can consume negativity and still think positively, or fill their days with meaningless noise and still be focused. But the subconscious mind doesn't filter out what doesn't matter. It takes it all in. That quick scroll through toxic social media debates, that background TV show dripping with drama, that pessimistic friend who calls every day to unload. All of these inputs are shaping your thought patterns, whether you notice it or not. Now imagine the opposite scenario. Picture waking up and the first thing you consume is something that fills you with clarity and motivation. Imagine spending your days surrounded by people who talk about possibilities instead of problems, solutions instead of obstacles. Imagine replacing idle consumption with purposeful learning. Not because it's trendy, but because every new piece of knowledge becomes another weapon in your arsenal for success. Over time, this doesn't just make you feel more confident. It rewires your brain to expect progress, to seek opportunity, and to move towards your goals with certainty. Your mind is like a fertile garden. It will grow whatever seeds you plant without judgment. Plant seeds of doubt, fear, and distraction, and they will grow into a life filled with hesitation and regret. But plant seeds of discipline, curiosity, and vision, and you'll cultivate a future rooted in confidence, focus, and success. This isn't just a metaphor. Neuroscience proves that repeated exposure to empowering information physically strengthens the neural pathways that support success. High achievers are not simply lucky or born different. They are intentional gatekeepers of their mental environment. Just as an elite athlete refuses to poison their body with junk food before a big game, they refuse to poison their mind with weak, aimless, or toxic inputs. They understand that the quality of what goes in determines the quality of what comes out. Every single day, they ask themselves, is what I'm feeding my mind today building the person I need to be tomorrow? The first step in training your brain to succeed is to take ownership of your mental diet. Protect it fiercely. Choose your influences carefully, and never underestimate the compounding power of consistent, high-quality inputs. Your future self is being built in your mind right now. Make sure you're feeding it the right fuel. Rebuilding your mind for success is not about quick hacks or overnight changes. It's about consciously shaping the thoughts, habits, and beliefs that will carry you forward for the rest of your life. Every choice you make, every influence you allow, and every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen the version of yourself you're becoming. Protect your mental energy, stay intentional with your growth, and remember, your mind is your most powerful asset. Train it well, and it will take you further than you ever imagined. And if this message inspired you, subscribe so you never miss the tools and ideas that will help you train your mind and create the life you deserve.